Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us in our presentation, Algebra 1 and College Preparatory Diploma Outcomes Among Virginia Students, Findings and Discussion. My name is Ryoko Yamaguchi, and with me are Deborah Jonas, the REL Appalachia Director, and Jill Newmeyer-DePiper.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us to learn about a research study the REL Appalachia team carried out in partnership with educators in Virginia. Today, after introducing the team, Jill will share information about the importance of algebraic reasoning and Algebra 1 as a course for students' preparation for college and careers. We'll then share information about the results of a study we did, Algebra 1 and College Preparatory Diploma Outcomes Among Virginia Students. And we will also share information and encourage you to discuss the implications for policy and practice, especially in your own communities. Today's presentation is one project as part of the Regional Educational Laboratory Program administered by the U.S. Department of Education, Institute of Education Sciences. The 10 regional educational laboratories work in partnership with stakeholders to conduct applied research and trainings. The mission of the REL program is to support a more evidence-based education system. As the REL Appalachia Director, I oversee all of the projects and partnerships in 4 states: Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia. We work on several education-related issues, including early literacy, middle school math, upper elementary school math, all the way to post-secondary education and careers, as well as using data and strengthening online learning. For the project we'll share with you today, we worked with 4 local school divisions in Virginia through our partnership, Student Success in Mathematics. The partnership was with Stanton, Harrisonburg, Waynesboro, and Charlottesville City Public Schools. If you're familiar with Virginia, these communities fall along Interstate 64 and Interstate 81 in the central western part of the state. We'll be presenting information from a study we did as part of this partnership. The study results and implications are critical for all of us who care about providing equitable, high-quality mathematics pathways and instructional practices for all students. In Virginia and elsewhere, students can access Algebra 1 in middle school. And of course, there's debate about the benefits and drawbacks of such policies. Did you know that one of the main reasons educators say they want to keep using Algebra 1 placement in middle school for students? It's because it has the potential to offer one way to increase students' likelihood of graduating from high school prepared for college and careers. Completing Algebra 1 in middle school is explicitly intended to offer students the opportunity to take more advanced math courses in high school, with the aim of increasing the number of students who graduate with a college-ready diploma. During today's presentation, we will share results of the research study we carried out in collaboration with our partners, who lead mathematics teacher development and programs in their school divisions. You will see that despite these good intentions of educators and policymakers, we may not be serving all students equitably in terms of access or success. The good news, we were able to support our partners to use these results to consider how they might improve access and success for students. In sharing information with you today, we also want you to know you can learn about a complementary project we carried out with our partners in another session focused on professional learning models. It is also recorded and available for viewing. Jill, over to you.
Thanks, Deborah. First here, we're going to talk about algebraic reasoning as a set of important mathematical skills and Algebra 1 as an important mathematics course. So we're going to look at the research, measurement, and policy context of algebraic reasoning. Mathematics researchers have shown how algebraic concepts are important as foundational skills for higher level mathematics. Algebraic concepts starting with number sense and then relational thinking and proportional reasoning in middle grades, then lead to pre-algebra and other algebraic thinking concepts. And all of these are building blocks for advanced level mathematics, from calculus to statistics. Mathematics teachers measure whether students are learning and mastering these skills through formative assessments, think alouds, class quizzes, and through summative assessments at the end of a unit. And there's state standards that also include pre-algebraic concepts as early as elementary grades. Now switching to the research, measurement, and policy context for Algebra 1, policy researchers have shown that passing Algebra 1, the course, by 9th grade is associated with graduating high school college ready. It's often referred as a gateway course. It is important to keep in mind that as a gateway course, Algebra 1 opens doors to higher level mathematics in high school and beyond. For example, passing Algebra 1 is a requirement to take Algebra 2. And research shows a strong association between Algebra 2 and college enrollment and success, including in community colleges. We also recognize there may be other courses, such as statistics and data science, that students may take to learn important abstract reasoning skills traditionally associated with Algebra 1 and 2, which may serve students well in college and careers. The measure that counts is often state assessments. That is certainly the case in Virginia, where students have to pass the course by scoring at least 400 out of 600 on the assessment to fall into the proficient or advanced proficient categories. As a policy context, not only is Algebra 1 a requirement to take advanced level courses, but in many states, it's a requirement for high school graduation. In Virginia, students must earn a verified credit by completing the course and then passing the Algebra 1 state assessment as part of the high school graduation requirements. In Virginia, for students to earn the state's college-ready diploma, they also have to pass Algebra 2. So here, you'll see we have these mathematics course-taking pathways laid out. Mathematics teachers and mathematics researchers often think about algebraic skills that are important to learn and master, and that's the red box on the left. Policymakers and policy researchers think about the course Algebra 1, which is highlighted in the green. As we put it together, algebraic reasoning and Algebra 1 create this typical mathematics pathway. In many districts, elementary school ends in grade 5 and middle school starts in grade 6. And students take state assessments in grade 5 to show mastery of algebraic reasoning skills. Ideally, after grade 5 and based on student mastery of algebraic skills, students have been placed into a pathway where they can take Algebra 1 in 7th grade, which is a hyper-accelerated course, grade 8 as an accelerated course, or in grade 9, which has been the traditional pathway. The presupposition with these different course-taking pathways is that students with strong pre-algebraic skills at the end of grade 5, as shown by these test scores, can take the acceleration of Algebra 1 in middle school. And that's what we examined in this research study. We're going to see if this holds true with our analysis. Now to you, Ryoko and Deborah.
Thanks, Jill. So now we're going to talk about the study using the Virginia Longitudinal Data System. We had two main goals. First, it's understanding the characteristics of students in the different math course taking pathways. And then second, understanding the outcomes of students in these different math course taking pathways of Algebra 1 by 9th grade. It's a descriptive study, which is like looking at yourself in the mirror, where it's showing us what happened to better understand the context. So this figure should look really familiar because Jill just went through it, but here's the description of the study. So on the right side, oh, sorry, your right, my left, or maybe it's the other way around. So on the left side is the red box called algebraic reasoning. And so that's in grade 5 at the end of, back to that slide. At the end of grade 5, the state assessment in mathematics in Virginia, the state standards emphasizes algebraic reasoning. So the first goal for the study was understanding that grade 5, right? It's the characteristics and prior grade 5 scores in math among students who completed Algebra 1 in grade 7, 8, or 9. And then we examined how do they do in those algebra classes when they took it in grade 7, 8, and 9. And then of those students in these math pathways, how do they do with their graduation? What percentage of students graduated in the blue box with a college preparatory diploma? In Virginia, it's called an advanced studies diploma. So again, this figure shows a really nice example of 8 years of data that we use to look at these mathematics pathways from grade 5 all the way to grade 12. Our population, again, using the VLDS, was 61,200 students. So we used one cohort of students. So those students graduating in 2012, because those were the students where we had data from the time they were in grade 5. They had test scores in grade 5. They had an Algebra 1 test score, and we had graduation data. So that's 61,200 students. Of those students, 36% were economically disadvantaged in grade 5. 5% were English learners in grade 5, and 10% were special ed, and 22% received gifted and talented education services. With their math scores, of the 61,200 students, 62% scored advanced proficient in grade 5 mathematics. 30% scored proficient, and 8% below proficient. So below proficient is failing. So you'll see that a lot of students passed the state standards in grade 5 mathematics, but for the purpose of this presentation, we're going to focus on the 62% of these students. So these students, again, going back to what Jill said, our assumption is that because they scored advanced proficient, so that's the highest level you can get in the grade 5 mathematics state assessment, our assumption is that these students are ending elementary school with strong pre-algebraic skills. So let's do a quick pause. Among these 62% of students who scored advanced proficient in grade 5 mathematics, would you place these students into taking Algebra 1 in grade 7, 8, or 9? Let's see what happened in Virginia. Here's what we found. So the word of the day for this presentation is variability. So there was variability in the percentage of students who completed Algebra 1, even when they earned an advanced proficient score in grade 5.
And so this point is very important because these are all students who scored advanced proficient on their grade 5 test. We have almost 40,000 students in this group in 5th grade. And this made me think, how are students placed into courses? How are they completing Algebra 1 in grades 7, 8, or 9? Because when we look at the data, it doesn't necessarily look like it's related to the state assessment scores.
Let's take a look at the economically disadvantaged students who scored advanced proficient in grade 5. So these are students, almost 11,000 students, again, scored advanced proficient in grade 5. But a higher percentage of students completed Algebra 1 in grade 9. That's the 37% in the 3rd row. But if you remember, the overall population was 25%. And the lower percentage of students completed Algebra 1 in grade 7 and grade 8 as well.
And as Jill said earlier, we believe that these are students who have strong pre-algebraic skills, having scored advanced proficient on the grade 5 test. But why would more economically disadvantaged students be placed into Algebra 1 in grade 9 as opposed to the earlier grades?
For English learner students, a higher percentage of students completed Algebra 1 in grade 9, 42%. Take a look at the 3rd row in the green. Then the overall population, which was 25%. And again, the lower percentage of students completed Algebra 1 in grade 7 and grade 8.
So again, all of these students scored advanced proficient in grade 5, and we see that a higher percentage of economically disadvantaged and English learner students are actually completing Algebra 1 in grade 9. Let's take a quick pause and reflect. Does this surprise you? As Jill stated earlier, our assumption as educators and policymakers is that students with strong algebraic reasoning by way of their advanced proficient score in the grade 5 test would be placed into Algebra 1 course taking in middle school in grade 7 or 8, perhaps. But we can see here there's variability and inequities in the students who are placed in Algebra 1 in middle school.
So now let's see how they do in terms of earning a college prep diploma. So these are students who scored advanced proficient in grade 5. They completed Algebra 1 in grade 7. And what you'll see is the top row is the study population, the middle row is English learner students, and the bottom row is the economically disadvantaged students. And you'll see that 80% of students, of all students, went on to earn a college preparatory diploma. That's the top blue box. But take a look at the economically disadvantaged students at the bottom blue box. So these are students who had strong math skills in grade 5. They earned advanced proficient. They were hyper accelerated to take Algebra 1 in grade 7. But only 62% went on to earn a college prep diploma. Deborah? Do you have other comments about this page?
Just to keep in mind that all of these students have the same proficiency level leaving 5th grade, and yet their outcomes are quite different. And they all took and completed and passed Algebra 1 in 7th grade. And yet some of these students are earning college prep diplomas and some aren't.
So now we're going to take a look at those students who completed Algebra 1 in grade 8. 75% of all students graduated with a college prep diploma, but you'll notice that a much lower percentage of economically disadvantaged and English learner students went on to earn a college prep diploma. And again, all of these students scored high, advanced proficient in grade 5, and then they were accelerated with taking a grade 8 Algebra 1 math course. But you see variability again, depending on whether they're economically disadvantaged or English learner students.
So now let's look at students who again scored advanced proficient in grade 5 mathematics, but for whatever reason were placed into Algebra 1 and completed Algebra 1 in grade 9. Only 44% of these students graduated with a college preparatory diploma, and the percentage is even lower for economically disadvantaged and English learner students. It's very important to know that to earn a college preparatory diploma in Virginia, you need 4 credits of math and English. And it is perfectly reasonable to complete Algebra 1 in grade 9 and still take the 3 other math classes needed to earn that college prep diploma. So it's a doable activity, and students certainly should be getting there. Our full report shows the results for students who scored proficient and below proficient as well, and also for additional groups of students. You can access the report by searching for the study title in your favorite search engine or by typing the link on the slide into your browser.
So thanks, Ryoko and Deborah, for all of the information on the study. And now we want to talk about the implications for policy and practice, what we've learned, and reflect on this data as it relates to course-taking pathways that students have available. So the goal is for each student to be supported through their mathematics course-taking pathway, including placement policies and practices, again, the red box, the instructional supports as students go into middle school in grade 6, which is the first set of dotted line boxes, the rigorous Algebra 1 coursework they're taking, and then the instructional supports after the Algebra 1 course for college and career readiness, which is the second set of dotted line boxes. There's no reason to believe that the findings we have here from Virginia are unique. And so we'd like you to consider, how do these outcomes manifest in your school district? So reflect for a moment on your context. In order to support all students in the high stakes Algebra 1 course and support them to be college and career ready, what can you do in your district? On which area, how students are placed, the instruction before Algebra 1, or the supports during and after Algebra 1 coursework do you consider critical to focus on in order to support students succeeding in their mathematics course taking pathways? Now we'd like to think specifically about the placement policies and practices for Algebra 1, the inputs into these mathematics pathways.
With the VLDS data, we just presented on how there was variability in placement with just looking at students' scores on the state assessment. So there must be other formal and informal ways that students are being placed into these pathways.
So you bring up a really important issue here, Deborah, about access. We saw in the research study was first access, where even though students scored high in grade 5 in their mathematics state assessment, which is an indicator often used to place students, economically disadvantaged and English learner students did not have the same access to taking Algebra 1 earlier in middle school.
Right. So let's have you all think now about your context and placement policies. What might the results be in your school or district? What thoughts do you have about changes to placement policies and practices?
And going back to what Deborah said, we need to look at all the ways, both formal, like written policies, and informal, like the way things are really done, that's unwritten too, to understand how placement policy decisions are made and implemented.
Now let's talk about the instructional supports as students go into middle school in grade 6. Again, this is that next set of dotted line boxes. It's important that we're looking at all of these different areas distinctly. How can we support each student in mastering algebraic concepts before and during algebra?
And using the study results, we just presented how even when students scored high in their 5th grade math assessment, accessed Algebra 1 early in grade 7, there was still variability in their pass rates for Algebra 1 and their likelihood of their percentage earning a college prep diploma.
So we just talked about access, about placement policies and practices. Now we're going to be talking about opportunity here. Do students have the opportunity for success? What we saw with the outcomes, like our favorite word of the day, variability, we know how students did. What we don't know is why. What was the learning context, the learning environment, the teaching for each student to receive the supports they needed to succeed?
Yes, exactly. And now we want you all to think about your context. What are the policies and practices for supporting students before and during Algebra 1? And what thoughts do you have about changes in those policies and practices? And now we want to talk about the instructional supports after the Algebra 1 course. What are the policies and practices in place to support students after they complete Algebra 1 and to be college and career ready?
So remember, we saw big differences in the percentage of students graduating with a college prep diploma based on when they took Algebra 1, as well as what demographic group they happened to belong to. It was crushing to see how students were scoring high in 5th grade math, but among economically disadvantaged students who completed Algebra 1 in grade 7, only 62% graduated with a college prep diploma. And this is not a financial aid issue or access related to colleges and universities. Our analyses, keep in mind, are students in Virginia's K-12 public schools who earn a college prep diploma in high school.
So what this shows too with earning a college prep diploma in high school is the importance of all the teachers, administrators, and counselors focus on helping each student earn a college prep diploma. While we focus a lot on mathematics, again, because this is a conference for mathematics experts, when it comes to earning a type of high school diploma, it's important to think about it from a student's point of view. Who's counseling the student to earn a standard diploma or an advanced studies diploma, the college prep diploma? Who's counseling the student to take advanced level mathematics? It's often not the math teacher.
Yes, thanks, Ryoko, for bringing up that really important concept of thinking about your context from the student's point of view and not just the teacher's. We can think about what educators do, and they give services like teach a course, but it's different to think about the receipt of those services. How is the education system being received by students? We'd like to close this now by having you think about your context and what thoughts do you have about changes to policies and practices to support students here in those next dotted line boxes before they're receiving their diplomas. Now we'd like you to think again and pause and reflect on these 3 questions while considering these data that we've shared, as well as the way we've mapped out the mathematics course taking pathways. What is something that is squared with your experience? What are 3 points you want to remember? And what is a lingering question still going around in your mind?
And we would love to connect with you. Here are some ways you can find us on the web, on Twitter, at REL Appalachia's email, and you can also see our professional email addresses for each of your presenters today on the right side of the screen. Please feel free to find us with any questions, comments, or discussions you'd like to have. Thank you so much.